Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. While we still have some people logging in, we'll go ahead and begin with introductions and housekeeping items. First, I'm Crystal Tang, Director of Local Search at Rio SEO, and I will be moderating this morning or afternoon, depending on where you're at in the country. And so now I'll go ahead and introduce our wonderful panel of industry experts. We're so thankful to have them all join our monthly webinar series. I'll go ahead and give them a little bit of background, and then I'll just ask them to fill in the audience about where they're located and what's their favorite thing about being in the industry. So first we have Ben Fisher. Ben's a specialist in local SEO and is the co-founder of Steady Demand. And fun fact, just like myself, Ben is a GMB Gold product expert. Welcome, Ben. Where are you dialing in from, and why do you love local?
Well, I wish I was dialing in, but I'm coming in through the internet, really. No, seriously, I'm Phoenix, Arizona. Like you said, I'm a JMB Gold product expert like you and just like Jason. And what do I love about this industry? I love the camaraderie that we have. I love the fact that the industry is still young enough when you look at it in terms of SEO that we can all still be kind of co-opetition.
Awesome. All right, thanks so much, Ben. So next up we have Nikki Mosier. Nikki has worked in both technical and local SEO for over a decade and currently works with Sierra Interactive as their technical SEO manager. Thanks for joining us, Nikki. Where are you dialing or joining via internet from, and what do you love about SEO?
I'm in Denver, Colorado, and one thing I love most about the industry, I think, is just how often things change, which forces us to really kind of stay on top of our game and allows for a lot of creativity as well.
Awesome. So next we'll welcome Allie Berry. Allie has over 8 years of marketing experience helping businesses build successful SEO-focused content strategies. She's currently editorial and SEO lead at the Motley Fool. And something I thought was notable and super cool is she recently deemed an honoree by Inc. as one of the top 10 women in content marketing. So congrats, Allie. Thanks for joining us. What do you love about content and where are you joining us from?
Thank you. I'm also in Denver, Colorado. And I think what I like most about content is that it's really an opportunity to connect with your audience. And I think it's extra cool at a local level just because you can really like dive in and figure out what matters to your people.
Awesome, thanks. And so now I'll introduce Jason. He's one of our fellow GMB Gold product experts. He's the SEO manager at Over the Top Marketing as well, and founder of Review Fraud. Welcome, Jason. We appreciate you joining us again because you've joined us before. Tell me what drives your passion for reviews and where you're joining from.
Sure. So I'm coming from Orange County, California. I love local just because of the fact that it levels the playing field for everybody. So you don't have to have technical chops. You can create a Google My Business listing and pretty much rank in your area with just doing a handful of things. And so it's a lot easier than having to do a website and have to, get somebody with the chops of Nikki to do, a technical SEO audit. But I also love the community, especially the Google My Business product experts like you, Crystal, and Ben Fisher.
Awesome. Well, you're a great help, I can say, and definitely within the community. So thanks for all you do. And then lastly, in our lineup of SEO extraordinaires, we have Mary Bowling. I'm so happy you can hop on today, Mary. For those of you who don't know, Mary's co-founder of Igniter Digital, and she's been working in the industry since 2003. Welcome, Mary. Tell us what drives your love for local.
Mostly, one, you can never get bored because there's so many changes so often. And two, I've been a business owner of several businesses over the years, and I really have a soft spot for small businesses and trying to help them make some sense of what's going on the internet.
That's awesome. All right, so a little background on why we've united this amazing SEO panel together today. We just want to chat about how to help your brand win this holiday season. Now, even though it's only September, it's likely too late to start instituting large changes on your site. So what you'll hear from our panel today are small but impactful considerations to take into the holiday season. And for those of you listening in, please think of this as a strategy session. Feel free to send through any questions throughout the conversation and I'll loop them into our webinar today. Our panel is well-rounded with a wealth of knowledge about local, reputation, content, so don't hold back. We'll also be sending over a recording right after the webcast, so no need to record it yourself or take notes. So in our discussion today, we'll be navigating through a few different topics, including Google My Business, reputation management, online to offline, and the consumer journey. So to begin, we'll dive right into Google My Business. We understand that GMB is an ever-changing platform that users are utilizing day in and day out to help find businesses. There's so much changing, and it really can be hard to keep up with optimizing your GMB listings and capturing those shoppers. So let's discuss some of the ways that the latest GMB updates and changes might impact your business and potential consumers, especially with the increase of foot traffic for the holiday season. So let's go ahead and start with Mary, and then we'll shoot it over to Ben, and then anyone that has any thoughts, feel free to jump in. So Mary, what have you seen for some of the GMB updates and features that may have the greatest impact on holiday shopping?
So posts is definitely one. I mean, we all have the option to put up posts as much as we want, and you can keep hammering away at people with your posts, with specials, with gift certificates, with holiday cheer, that sort of thing. I would make sure that all the links on the website are going on your local knowledge panel are going to your website and not to someone else, because Google's been inserting some really bad links in there for third-party platforms, and you want to make sure you're not one of them. And other than that, I can't think of anything right offhand in GMB that I might do to encourage holiday sales.
Awesome. Yeah, Ben, I was going to ask you specifically kind of your thoughts on utilizing Google Posts for holiday promotions. Do you have any specific types or strategies that you've seen bring success?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the one thing I think is that you can right now take advantage of like the product posts. Product posts currently have high visibility. Whether they're going to be relegated to the bottom like GMB posts were back before, we don't know, but right now at least they're pretty high. So you could, if you have a product that you are, that's on special or it's going to be on special, right now is the time. Get in depth, get in detail, use all the fields. There is no way to upload a feed of your products, which I know can be important when you're doing things at scale. And there is no way to copy products between Google My Business listings either. So those are kind of two hurdles that I think enterprises have to deal with. And they've got to basically decide, how are we going to handle this internally, or are we going to handle this externally? The other thing with posts is that you can still, of course, do your special offers. With a special offer post, you're going to be able to go ahead and put in a coupon code of some kind, and you can use that to track your traffic actually as if somebody coming in store. Yeah.
Anyone else have thoughts about, GMB features or Google Post strategies you've seen work, or maybe ones to avoid?
I think there's a couple other, those are definitely the main features that I had in my list, but I think there's a couple other things, just kind of general GMB housekeeping. So obviously it just shows up on mobile, but the products option, and then also the services, if you're a service area business that maybe is impacted by the holidays, making sure that those things are up to date for customers that might be looking for things. And then also hours, obviously, can be easy to forget about sometimes, making sure that your hours are up to date for the holidays, especially if you have longer holiday hours or days that you're going to be closed.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. Hours are critical during the holiday season. Oftentimes you see expanded hours versus, shortened hours, but you'll get days where the stores are closed. But then also, like to Ben's point, where post you can't manage in bulk, services and the service menus are available via API. So we've got, a ton of service-based businesses that we've been able to power a lot of those elements. And I know, Mary, you've talked a bit about, adding service content to your brands, and, you've seen some kind of success there. Any, tips, not thinking specifically about adding holiday content there, but someone that's looking to add resources and fill out their GMB profiles prior to holiday, any thoughts about, the services and building out the service menus?
Actually, while Ben was speaking, I thought that it was pretty wise to add holiday specials to your services and or products as well as to your posts. If you're a carpet cleaning company, furniture sales, There's a lot of things that people are interested in doing to spiff up their premises before the holidays. And you could definitely add those as services. And that stuff we're putting in GMB is totally readable by Google. They know what that information is, and they're starting to show some of it right in the local packs if it's relevant to search.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't even think, if you're a cleaning company, you can say, we'll clean up for your party, like pre or post. That would be a great kind of service to push. Event planners, I think, would be great. All
One
right,
other
awesome.
thing oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
One other thing you could think about too is like if your business is sponsoring any events, to have a landing page on your website about that event, and then including that as well.
Yeah, and marking that up in schema so that Google will pull it into your knowledge panel.
Yeah, I would
Great
definitely
idea.
say just with events in mind and Google marking those up, keep an eye on your knowledge panel, because right now Google's been displaying a ton of irrelevant events on your GMB listing. So, people might be showing up expecting you to have an event, and the content of that event that's displayed might be a little bit weird and unrelated to your business. So that's something, GMB is aware of. They're working to fix. But I mean, with the holiday in mind, I imagine a lot of additional companies are going to be adding event markup on their page, and Google might have you confused with the store down the street or vice versa. So just keep an eye, don't just look at your map pack insights, your GMB insights and other elements. Just keep an eye on what your panel looks like to a consumer.
I think one other thing then, and this is probably going to maybe jump the shark on Jason just a little bit, but that is where Jason can expand on, and that is start getting your review strategy ducks in a row. Because with the holidays is going to come a slew of reviews.
Well, actually, what I was going to say for optimizing GMB is do a post with your monthly hours, right? So if you're a brick and mortar, especially around Christmas, you're going to have extended hours or shortened hours. You can actually create a calendar image and do a post saying, here's our holiday hours for the month. So that way people don't have to wait until the next week cycles through to figure out what you're going to be open on Tuesday, because everybody's trying to plan ahead and plot out their holiday shopping.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, especially around like Black Friday, because Google's not going to display those till, the Saturday before Black Friday. So posting those November 1st and say, just so you guys know, these are our holiday hours. That's a great idea.
And you could put those into your Q&A as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That way, anyone that's not paying attention to all of the other elements about your GMB profile, they'll be able to see them, down there, or they'll probably still ask a question. So, monitor Q&A during the holidays. If you don't monitor it any other time of the year, I think this is when you're going to have people most active.
And don't forget about being able to chat with people via your local knowledge panel. You're probably going to have a lot more inquiries over the holidays if you're actually selling a product that people want.
Yeah, absolutely. Enabling that. I know right now, I think by early November, you have to migrate to the new GMB app for messaging. But definitely if you have the resources to, put someone on messaging that's able to answer product questions and store hour questions and those types of elements, remove that friction by being able to answer their question right there. And that's going to give your customers the opportunity to make a decision quicker about visiting you or showing up at your location, and not being disappointed with, you not being open or you not having the product or whatever the case is.
And you don't need to have that on all the time. That is an easy one-click on and off feature that when you're really busy, you can just turn it off so that you're not distracted and people aren't having to wait for an answer.
Yeah, I think that's a great point as well. All right, a couple questions that have come in about Google Posts. Basically, stopping Google Posts because engagement on the post was low. And I think everyone notoriously knows Google Posts typically aren't going to get many clicks or views, and especially the reporting metrics. But just kind of thoughts on, how do product posts compare to the others? If someone stopped a what's new post or an event post, have we seen more engagement with a product post? I would assume mostly no, but any thoughts on kind of, expectations of Google Posts?
Well, first thing I'll say is this, is that universally, the statistics that you're seeing inside of GMB Insights for posts specifically are off. One thing most people don't understand is that the way that the impressions are actually calculated. So the impression is not calculated, for instance, let's say with a product post. It's on desktop in particular, or well, actually even mobile. If it's just looking at the product post itself and not actually clicking on it, the impression is not counted. So you're not getting a full picture, the view of the impressions. That's number one. Number two, the clicks that are being reported. It kind of uses the same logic as Google Analytics as far as uniqueness goes when they're counting clicks and time and latency, etc. So what we found through our studies is that if you are using UTM codes, then you're actually going to see the clicks are much higher than what you see. So I wouldn't rely on Google My Business Insights basically to gauge the effectiveness of posts. One of the reasons, just to move on to the second part of the question, is with product posts. Again, they're much higher on the knowledge panel right now. They're also much more persistent. They stay in their own category, specifically on mobile. So right now, I mean, and hopefully throughout the entire holiday season, that's really where it's at, if you can put a product post and the collection together.
Yeah, and I've seen too, what we've taken a look at is whenever we've run posts, is taking a look at all of the insights on your GMB. You know, traditionally we've seen searches in GMB go up while there's a product post. We've seen impressions on other elements of your Google My Business profile, despite, you know, you having a post up for a month and getting one click to that post link. It is, you know, that's very common. It is, you know, we are seeing other elements of your GMB getting additional engagement, which I think, you know, is huge, probably more impactful than just getting a click to that post and, you know, someone looking at the event or information you have there. All right, so I think that covers all the post questions, and next we will dive into the topic of reviews and reputation management. I know, Ben, you mentioned this. And specifically that a number of industries are going to have their heaviest foot traffic over the next few months, meaning more customers, more reviews, more feedback, especially with Google really just kind of hounding you anytime you're near a location or they think you've gone to a location. They ask you proactively. You're not, you know, you're going to get an alert saying, hey, provide, you know, feedback, add this image, those types of things. So kind of first going to Jason, how do you think businesses should prepare for the inevitable influx of reviews, both good and bad? You know, maybe some tips on managing that.
Sure. So either you're going to need to make sure that you're monitoring the emails that are coming in. If you have a Google My Business listing, you know, make sure that, you know, you're daily checking those alerts that are coming in. If you have over 100 listings in your account, you don't get that. So then you need to look into a third-party tool. A lot of great options out there. I recommend, you know, GatherUp as a great source to monitor your reviews. You know, you have to have some mechanism so that when they're coming in, you're seeing them. And then you also have to remember to respond to them, you know, and look, every business wants to do like their best job with customer service. You know, like, for example, like Chick-fil-A, right? Chick-fil-A is known for going above and beyond with their customer service. Well, when you look at like their review profiles on Google, they're intermittent with how they respond to their negative reviews, if they respond at all. So, you know, you have to, you know that it's just another component for your customers to engage with you or let you know you're doing a great job or not doing a great job. And so it's an area of weakness that a lot of businesses have because they don't think about it firsthand. They're like, oh, well, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. But you need to have like a strategy in place. And so I always tell people, you know, when you get a negative review, remain calm, because the last thing you want to do is add more fuel to the fire. Because when you start getting upset and you start berating that person, then all their friends find out about it, or your potential other customers see it, and then they're not gonna go to that business. And we've seen more businesses going viral for the wrong reasons than for the right reasons. And so it's just take a deep breath, apologize, own up if you made a mistake, let them know you're going to address it, and try to correct that situation so that it doesn't happen in the future. Because it's feedback. I mean, I know we think of them as reviews, but it's actually feedback of what you're doing good positively and what you're doing negatively in areas that you can improve. So that's my takeaway on that.
Awesome. Who else has thoughts about reviews during the holiday season?
I I guess everybody's starting to lose their stars. Not everybody, but way more people than thought they were going to at first. Google is rolling this star snatch out.
Star Snatch, I like it.
Star snatch. So I would definitely keep an eye on that and keep an eye on your competitors. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but you can still get stars by marking up product reviews. You can't get stars by marking up local business
That's correct.
reviews. So
Yep.
you may want to look into how you can shift your focus there. And I believe that, I mean, I'm hearing some chatter out there. I haven't tried it myself, that even services you can still get some stars on. I don't know. But I would definitely be paying attention to this Star Magedon. Is Jason the one that
No.
named that?
I think the
Starmageddon.
Starmageddon.
Starmageddon. Yeah, I don't know who.
Again.
But this is going to affect all of us. And I know that last week at Local U Advanced, Mike Blumenthal and Aaron Weike from Gather Up were both there. And they both had a lot of really good arguments why you should still be having first party reviews on your site, even if you're not going to get stars from them. So I'm taking their advice and leaving it on the site and leaving it marked up, even if I'm not getting stars.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. First party reviews are still critical. And to kind of what Jason said is the feedback about your business and how you can improve. And if you're truly looking at reviews as a listening element to your business to improve operations, to highlight where maybe the receptionist, has been having a bad week and you maybe need to staff up at that location, those types of things, there's still a ton of, benefits to first party reviews, as well as just unique content on page and the things that you're never going to get by, writing that content if you're sourcing the first party reviews.
Yeah, the one thing that I think is a problem with multi-location, right, is just the amount of resources that you have in-house. When you take a look at things statistically, 90% of consumers do read businesses' responses to reviews. And at least 53% of users who were polled expect businesses to respond to negative reviews, within a week. The problem that I think that we have with the holidays is you've got increased volume occurring and you've got your staff basically being stretched very thin at this point. So usually it's a decision. Okay, do we respond to reviews at all? Do we respond to positive reviews? Do we respond to negative reviews? And we find that companies fall into those three camps, unfortunately. It's very rare, I think, to find a business which they fall into okay, we're going to respond to all the reviews. So taking that into consideration, I think having a game plan, whether you do it internally, whether you outsource it, using an application like GatherUp or something to gather those reviews basically, and then have a way of organizing them and then responding to them. That's extremely important because otherwise you are going to lose your business to your competitors.
Yeah, I think that makes 100% sense. I think for us, that's oftentimes when we're working with, enterprise chains, they say we haven't done this before, how do we get started? And if they're taking their first steps during the holiday season, I think leaning towards responding to as much as possible is really what's going to leave a lasting impact on your clients during that period. I mean, if they're reaching out and leaving a review when they're busy holiday shopping, they either had an amazing experience or they had a terrible experience. So connecting with that consumer whenever they feel like they need to communicate with you as a business, I think would be a detriment if you were to ignore that. So, either staff up or reposition your strategy. If you don't have the ability to staff up to respond to the influx in reviews, look at 3s and 2s and 4s maybe. The 1 stars you may not be able to save, and the 5 stars, I think those are impossible to achieve and maybe not your ultimate goal. So maybe just revising like, hey, we know we're going to get more. Let's focus on these ones. And then instead of responding to all reviews in the last 2 weeks, like maybe shorten the time frame, like let's focus on just the last week or whatever the case is. So I think putting those processes in place now, knowing that in the next 1 to 2 months, you are likely going to see these explode.
Yeah, and just to reiterate or add to it is, if you can do it like before work hours or after work hours, and look at like, 2 or 3 per location, so if you're only have to focus on one location, then respond to like 2 or 3 before the day starts or after the day, as long as you're somewhat engaging and you do little by little. I mean, you don't have to, look, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So you don't have to hit all your reviews all at once. But if you're responding to them a little bit here and there, it's going to look a lot better than just, leaving them completely, alone.
Yeah. So how would you guys kind of think about if a business doesn't have a strategy in place for, asking for reviews in an authentic way? What are some thoughts about, rolling that out at this time of the year? So it doesn't seem, fake and that you're just asking for reviews because it's the holiday. Any thoughts about asking for that? Maybe asking for meaningful content. Like we don't just want stars, we want content, and ideally like keywords that will help us rank in the map pack, those types of things.
I have a couple ideas. I think one is starting to think about your audience first and who your customers are and how they would best respond to reviews and in what platform. So if you're a service area business at the holidays, probably sending them using the text message feature through GatherUp to send them a text might be your best way to get a review the fastest from somebody. Versus sending them an email and kind of going through all of that chain. So really kind of taking time to think about who you're asking for reviews and kind of how you might get those reviews would be a great way to really maximize getting reviews. And then the other thing I was thinking about would be to, obviously we can't incentivize people for reviews anymore. So like Crystal mentioned, trying to make those beneficial for you. So kind of getting them to want to leave that review by making it more than just about the stars. So asking for kind of more of that meaningful content and engaging with them in that review ask.
And in person, I mean, even though Google says they don't like review gating, I'm not sure how that is affected since we're not going to get stars anyway. So I may not worry about that. And in person, you can definitely do review gating. You ask your happiest customers, your most delighted people to give you reviews, and don't ask everybody or people that aren't absolutely delighted with you.
Mm-hmm. I would also think about
Yep, that's the way you do it.
I would think about going old school too, like all I want for Christmas is your review, and have like a sign. Yeah, right. And have like a sign at the register if it's like a retail type environment where those are people who bought something, right? And then like an easy QR code type thing that would take people right to where they need to go, just to like capture that foot traffic.
I like that, Allie. Help others this holiday season decide on where they can be delighted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think anything you can do to remove the friction, because with all the things like they're baking a turkey and all this stuff that they're doing, how can you make it easy? So I like the text message option, making it fun and memorable. And I think taking a step back and not just focusing on reviews. It's like, are you creating a service or experience during this time frame that someone's going to want to leave a review for? That element there, it's like you can't just ask for a review if you're doing all the same stuff or not training your employees to ask for this type of feedback, provide this service, talk about this product, and then when they do, say like, if you had a great experience with my service, feel free to reach out to us, leave us a review on our site or on Google, and can't say Yelp, but those elements is thinking a couple steps before asking for a review.
How does Yelp even track that? You can't say review us on Yelp. Like, what are they doing? Are they monitoring my phone? No, just
They may be, Ben.
maybe. One thing I was going to say about GMB, Google My Business, make sure that you have your short name set up.
Ah. Yes.
Will not get suspended if you do that. That was a glitch. That wasn't even a suspension. Anyway, make sure you have your short name set up. Make sure you have your convention in place if you're multi-location. So it might be name of business, city name, whatever it is. And then at the end of it, you just put /review. And now you can just email this, text this to anybody, and they'll automatically be brought to a place to leave a review.
That's awesome.
So
Piggybacking on, go ahead. Piggybacking on Allie's holiday theme, a lot of times businesses will send out holiday cards at the end of the year to all of their past clients and customers from the year. Use that as an opportunity as well to ask for that review and kind of get that pulse on how your business did over the year.
I love that. And even like put something in people's bags if they're checking out. Same deal.
Yeah.
On the receipt,
Exactly.
anything. Yeah.
yeah, one other thing you can do that a lot of people don't think about is ask your customers for photos, which is really great user-generated content. So, so we work with, a lot of health and wellness and beauty. And so it's really great when women come in and they get their makeover and we're like, hey, take a photo, take a selfie and, post it online. Well, now you've already bypassed that Yelp loophole, because you can ask for a Yelp photo, you just can't ask for a Yelp review. But yeah, if you are asking them to post photos of your business on Google, Facebook, or Yelp, they're already right there where they're going to leave a review. And so holiday season is like a great point in time when people want to take photos. So hey, when that person gets that gift and they open it, you should take a photo of that and let us know their reaction, right? So now you're kind of like gearing them to be, your brand ambassador. And then the other thing is, when you do get some positive reviews and if they mention an employee, let that employee know that somebody, mentioned them in a review, because that's going to make them feel a lot better, especially during this stressful time. And it's going to help put a bigger smile on their face, and it's going to probably help them with the next time they have like one of those difficult customers, and they'll be like, you know what, I just got this great feedback, I can let this negative experience go.
So
I love
perfect.
the
We've got
selfie
it.
idea.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, with the selfie idea, like having a selfie station in your storefront
Ooh.
too, just like to like help encourage that.
That's like I feel like that's probably like the millennial holiday tip of the season. If you've got a nice backdrop, they don't have to drive across the country to get this really cool, Insta photo. I love that idea. I think that's great. We've got a couple questions coming in about reviews. So first, someone says, why can't we ask for Yelp reviews? Essentially, Yelp says this essentially tarnishes a person's experience if you encourage them to provide feedback. They believe that the most genuine feedback is someone that wants to do it on their own naturally. But anyone want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous, but yeah, it's unfortunately it is their terms of service. So you get caught soliciting a review, they're going to put this nice little nasty disclaimer on your listing. We caught this business, soliciting reviews. It stays on there for maybe 90 days or longer if you're not advertising. And yeah, it's just they really want reviews to just be 100% natural. So you got to be very, very careful about it. You can ask people to check out your Yelp reviews. Hey, have you seen our Yelp reviews? But asking for photos I think is like the best way around it, because look, it's their platform, they get to set their rules, whether we like it or agree with it, that's what they want. So just figure out how to abide by the rules and not get your hand slapped.
Another hack with Yelp is if you ask people to check in on Yelp, are you a Yelper? Check in, because then they are kind of prompted to leave a review without you having to do anything other than just say, check in on Yelp.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Adding an offer during, November and December on Yelp, encouraging users to check in, and then Yelp's going to kind of do their, auto push of, promoting the business, and then oftentimes they'll be encouraged to leave reviews. Right. And then the other question about reviews is, does the Google bot read reviews and identify keywords?
Yes.
Yeah, I think most recently we've seen if someone searched in a local search for a service or a product or something, there's a little review icon that will show up. So sometimes it would say this keyword was mentioned on their website. This one will say this keyword is in their reviews, and it has like a little reviews icon right in the knowledge panel. And it doesn't have to be in the name of your business. It doesn't have to be in the description. It doesn't even have to be a category. So I think Google's definitely in their stance on placing, high priority on user generated content versus business provided content. I think it's, incredibly important for them to see those words, reiterated by customers, because they're, that's telling Google more about your business than what they're likely going to receive from you. They kind of take what a business tells them with a grain of salt, but what users tell them about a brand is incredibly impactful.
Yeah, one thing I'll say on keywords is you're absolutely right there, Crystal. I mean, it shows up in the rich snippets. I mean, posts actually shows up in the rich snippets, basically underneath of your business listing sometimes as well, and also in questions and answers. You start typing in a question, and if it has a keyword that's in one of your reviews, it's going to pull that in and say, well, is this the answer you're looking for? Yeah, I forget where I was going to go from there. So, the next thing I was going to say is about review, asking for a review. Is if you have a review template that you send out, an email template, what you can do, you can structure the email in such a way that it's going to get your customer to put those keywords into the review. Give them an idea. Ask them 3 questions. Like, what did you do? What did you buy from us today? How was your experience, and with who was it with? So you can go to that as well. And use questions that are basically going to lead the customer to go ahead and just naturally add those keywords.
I think that's a great point.
And a lot of times when you ask people to leave reviews in person, they'll say, well, I don't know what to say. Well, you can then suggest to them, who helped you? What did they do for you? Where did they do it? Especially if it's a service area business.
Yeah, I think that's perfect, especially again, thinking a couple steps before asking for reviews, training your staff how to ask for reviews, and not just, hey guys, ask for reviews. It's like, okay, if they say this, here's a couple ways to guide that conversation. And maybe you appoint a few people at the store, at the location, or, if it's a service area business, the main people to ask for reviews. Maybe it's someone calling afterwards to see how their service was. A lot of service-based businesses do that. It's either a call or an email. Yes, it's important for you to take that information, but leave your links to your Yelp profile on the bottom, your Google profile, your Facebook, anywhere a user wants to provide that feedback. All right, so we've kind of segued into content, and I'd love to kind of get started with this, and maybe we can send this first question over to Ali. You've already had a lot of great ideas. I kind of want to pick your brain some more. What do you think about creating and optimizing holiday-themed content that speaks directly, to your customers' needs and preferences, whether it's on-site or off-site? Any other ideas or thoughts there?
Yeah, it's hard to answer without knowing the details of somebody's audience, but I would be thinking about on-site, anything that you can do in terms of kind of trying to get out of the noise. I feel like a lot of businesses are very much in sales mode around the holidays. It makes sense. It's a big consumer time, but I would be thinking about how you can give first. So whether it's involvement in the community, I used to work with car dealerships a lot, and it was always about what kind of charitable thing fits our brand? Where's our mission? And then how can we get into that? How can we be creating content around this? How can we get our customers engaged with something like that too? Because people are going to shop by price unless they really believe the brand and you're doing something special. So I feel like that's an angle to really think about and figure out if there's ways that you can get involved in the community in an authentic way. And then, I mean, beyond that, there's tons of other content you could be creating around gift guides and making sure that it's relevant to your audience and also what you do, the how-tos, getting user stories your customers around the holiday season and stuff based on what your brand does.
I think that's a great point. And as Mary mentioned last week, a lot of us were in Denver for Local U Advance. And I know one of the speakers was talking about content and, really encouraging, people to write for humans. Like a lot of people have kind of gotten into this mindset of writing for the algorithm, but the algorithm is basing it off how users react to that content. So, don't write for the Google bot to crawl for keywords, write for your customers. And I think, you and Nikki both a couple of times has mentioned, like, start thinking first about your audience. And if you were your own target audience, what would you like to see? What would you actually read? Like, are you going to read these 10 paragraphs about, this car dealership's history on your website? Or is it more impactful to see how they're engaged with the community? Like, do they work with a local school or organization or, Girl Scout troop, those types of things, I think are great points.
Exactly. Like thinking about like, okay, Meals on Wheels, like let's do that. Let's see if like our customers want to do that with us and like have a day that's based around that. And then let's create content around something like that. I think it's really powerful.
And I think the really big bonus with what Allie's talking about, and I call that doing good and earning good karma, is that your local media really is the only media that cares about what the heck you're doing in your town. And by doing good, especially if you can partner up with a nonprofit, you can get a lot of media attention. And I think that people really discount the value of that. This has nothing to do with the holidays, but for example, in my little town, we have about 10,000 people. A new chain restaurant moved into town. And the first thing they did was, it was a Cajun restaurant. The first thing they did was invite all of the elementary school kids. The elementary school's only a couple of blocks from their place, to have free beignets, and they got their picture in the paper, and every one of their families got to hear about how this new restaurant is in town, and they have these delicious donutty things. So, when you're talking about links and media attention, don't be thinking at the national level if you're a local business. Really zero in on that local level and be communicating to the people that really have the potential to become your customers.
Exactly. And generally, you can just call up your local media and say, hey, we're doing this thing, and they'll be there because they want to be. So it's a really easy way to build link and karma, like you said. I love that.
Perfect. One quick question to go back to reviews. Someone was asking if reviews can come in featured snippets. And it wasn't a featured snippet, it's in the local maps result. You'll see it right under the location details. So just to clarify, it's not an organic featured snippet, it's on the local map results where it will say this is mentioned on a website or in a review. But we also have a couple of questions about content. So someone's asking about content for retail, adding content around Christmas trees, Christmas decor, Halloween decorations, which isn't a long-term initiative for them. Any thoughts about, is it okay to keep that up year round? Do you just write it on the pages and then take them down after, the season's over?
I think you lose a lot of value by taking things that you do every year, taking that content down and starting over again. You can just build on that old content that you have. For example, Carrie and I have a customer who sponsors a parade, and there's a blog post or I'm not sure if it's a post or a page on their website about how they were in this parade and were a sponsor of it. So this year they're going to do it again. We're just going to update that page. The name of the parade is the same. The name of the business is the same. And we can, they've already started ranking for that term. So why would I take it down?
Yeah, so like seasonal content that, stays on your website, but knowing that most people aren't going to be searching for Christmas in April. So those types of elements are okay to keep up. And then if it links to like a collection on your website, but the collection's all sold out, like just say check back, next season to 2020 in this case. Any other thoughts about kind of holiday content, whether it's, special markup or elements that you should add to these types of blogs, content pieces?
Well, I think that just about any type of business can do gift certificates, and they can do them very cheaply and very well. You can make them fancy so that they look nice when they're printed out, if the people are printing them, if the giver's printing it and giving it. You can enable really easy customization for the giver, so it looks like a personalized thing that you're giving. You can offer to mail it directly to the recipient. That's not going to cost you hardly anything. And it gets you the email address of this person that's getting your gift certificate. And you can continue to communicate with them about what they're going to use that gift certificate for. And you can also think about gift certificates for services, for things that, like we were talking earlier, would be useful pre or post holidays, like carpet cleaning or a case of wine that you want to give somebody for their New Year's party or something like that. So I think that gift certificates are really something that any business, even a service business, can offer and do a really good job of it, and it won't take them very much time or money to do it.
I totally agree with that. Last Christmas, actually, I was trying to buy my stepdad a gift certificate to a golf course, and it took me 3 different golf courses to get one that would do a gift certificate for me. And that's who got my business. So,
Yeah.
like, it's just having those little things that make it easy on somebody who's looking for, maybe a quicker gift. Like, take the thinking out of it for them and have some some ideas on your site for them.
And I think one last thing is to tie reviews and content together is take a look
Ooh.
back at your previous year reviews that you got. Mine those for keywords and concepts and ideas of content to develop. Another thing that you could do is again, using that same type of methodology, is create frequently asked questions around specific products or specific services. Those can then again be reused into Google My Business as well, and you can delete them if you want to later. But yeah, at least you're creating some content that's based off of what consumers like.
And one other piece of content that nobody's thought of, and this comes in really handy. If you know you're going to hit like a massive traffic flow day, so let's say all for makeovers, everybody's going to come in, like want to book their appointments on Friday for that weekend for the Christmas parties. Well, you might want to put content on your website saying, hey, look, it's going to be really crazy on Fridays. So you might want to think about doing your eyelash extensions on Thursday, scheduling it for Wednesday or Thursday. We'll actually have more blocks available, So if you can come up with ways that you can direct your customers to come at your non-peak times, you'll end up getting a lot more sales than just letting it just become like a hodgepodge. So that's kind of my recommendation for content ideas.
And discounts in conjunction with that would be really powerful.
And utilizing, like Mary had mentioned earlier, that event markup and any markup in general when you're reusing content, making sure that you're updating things like publish dates and things like that to make sure that Google's picking up that it's updated content, not just content that was there previously.
That's a great point.
I would try to use events. And again, just about any business could have a holiday party or a holiday open house. Even if it's the kind of business that people don't usually come to in person. If you use your email list and invite your customers to come and have a glass of wine with you or whatever, that foot traffic is going to help you rank better. And if you actually have a real place of business and you can't think of any other reason to get people in there, then you can, again, teaming up with a nonprofit. And the reason I keep saying that is, excuse me, when you do that, it kind of takes that salesiness away. It's like you really are trying to do good and help a nonprofit, and this isn't all about you getting attention.
The authenticity of it, I think, makes a really big difference. If you're going to drive users to leave a review or someone to write an article about you, I think they have to feel that. All right. So I think one of the other questions we kind of wanted to talk to was really about cutting through the noise of holiday promotions. And we've touched on this a little bit. I think, a great way that both of you guys have mentioned is, working with nonprofits, thinking about Meals on Wheels or events or offering, wine for shoppers that come in for that. Any other thoughts about how to do anything that's not your traditional holiday promo, whether it's, adding it to a Google post or on site? I love the selfie station idea as well. I feel like I'm probably going to recommend that to everyone that has a millennial base.
So somebody just sent me a video, and it might have been Rio, of me dancing like an elf. So
It was
kind
us.
of,
It was all
if
of
you
you
could,
guys dancing.
yeah, if you could get your staff involved in something like that and put it up on your site, they're going to be telling all their friends, go look at this. They're going to put a link to it on their Facebook page. Look at me dancing like an elf. So, just using a little bit of humor goes a long way, I think, especially during the holidays.
But
Totally with you there. Or a caption contest on some, images or something, just to make something fun and more interactive. And
Yeah.
if you're an edgier brand, you could do some snarky type content. Not
Right.
everybody loves the holidays. So the surviving family campaign,
Right. Right. I know I suggested to an HVAC company that they may want to put something, in a post like, is your septic system ready for a holiday visit from 3 grandparents, 10 uncles, and 17 cousins,
love that.
And also there are a lot of people that are very, they're attracted by family-ish things. So even if you got your staff to give a party you gave a party for all your staff's kids and had that party there and let them invite their aunts and uncles and that sort of thing and put that on your website, or your staff's kids singing a Christmas song. I mean, just, little things that you can do without very much time. That are just going to help humanize your business a little bit more.
I really liked Jason's idea of the user-generated content. So taking pictures of people that are receiving gifts or anything like that can, again, add that human element, but is maybe something a little unique to help bring in kind of more of that visibility.
Yeah. And we had a question about, are these recommended ideas for posts? But I think it's kind of across the board, yes, potentially Google posts. But I think, Jason's point about getting just images, get more images that are going to drive more clicks on your GMB listing, make it a blog post and get a backlink from it, create event schema to get that showing on the SERP. But essentially, these are ideas for all elements of your local listings and your website, not specifically GMB posts. All right, one more question, and then we'll kind of wrap it up because we're close to time. So it says, what are other suggestions do you have for ranking for holiday terms in the local pack? So it seems like a lot more queries have local intent, and they're triggering a map pack that may have, given you traditionally organic results in the past. Any other thoughts for content that will help you get local pack results?
I'll just jump in here really quickly. I mean, one thing that we have found out is that GMB and local results do absolutely look at the content that's on your website to trigger. You can tell this just by looking in the GMB insights and looking at queries, which is actually really raw data at the moment. So you can go out completely long tail on that. So, again, I think we're coming back to kind of like what we've said is get some ideas, look at what people are doing in reviews, etc. Put that content on your site. If you do a video, atomize that, use that content and spread it out as much as possible. Give Google as much data as possible, and then that way you can rank for those keywords.
Yeah, I love that idea of queries. I think a lot of the multi-location chain brands out there probably don't even know they exist because they're only when you click into MapPack Insights or Google My Business Insights within the dashboard. And most of them, if you have more than a dozen locations, then you're likely going to be downloading or getting those via API. So if you're considering content for the holidays, take a look. Take a look at 10 stores and take a look at their queries and see where there is overlap. But those are incredibly, like Ben said, they're raw and powerful, and you might have ones that are completely irrelevant to your business, but there's, definitely some gold nuggets in there.
Yeah, and making sure to localize that content. Like Allie had mentioned, if you're making that content maybe a little more snarky or something about surviving the holidays with your family, making sure to kind of make sure to add that location and that localization to it to really tie that in.
Yeah, I think any local elements. All right, so we are getting close to time. I think we'll wrap this up by going to, each of you and just asking really if you were to give a local business, an enterprise business, anyone that you're kind of familiar with, a service area business, a piece of advice, heading into the local shopping season, know they've got, 3 months to really capture that traffic. What would it be? And we'll go ahead and start with Nikki.
I think the one thing that's been talked about the most is Google My Business posts and just making sure to have a strong strategy going into the holiday season and to not forget about kind of all the other things that happen around the holidays, starting as far back as Thanksgiving and Black Friday, and going through New Year's and catching people at all of those random times, not just big things.
Okay. Mary, what would your piece of advice be?
I think that gift certificates are something that everybody can really take advantage of. I mean, even if you are an HVAC company, you can send out emails to your regular customers saying, do you know someone who suffers from allergies? Did you know we do indoor air quality audits and et cetera? That if they think about it, every business could come up with a way to do some really good gift certificate things that they can put on their website, they can post, they can even advertise. Last minute gift certificate, we make it easy, that sort of thing.
What's that? Allie, what would your piece of advice be?
I think give first, right? So think about what your brand is, what you represent, what your mission is, what your products are, and then from there, develop a strategy that makes sense for the holidays and for your people, and be authentic and don't try to be something that you're not just because you're going into the holidays and you're trying to, sell.
Okay. Jason, I have a feeling.
Yeah, just remember that your customers are going to be your brand ambassadors. So as long as you're treating them right and you're responding to the reviews, you're going to have this thing that most people overlook called referrals. So remember, there's a lot of value in having positive experiences with your customers and having them share that with their friends and family, and then you're going to get more business from that, just from going above and beyond.
Awesome. And Ben, last but not least.
Well, thank you. It's a lot of what we've really stated, right? So with our clients, especially with our multi-location clients, it's all about focusing on what are the goals going to be for your posts going into the holiday season. How are we going to be responding to the reviews? Like in some cases, we have chains that are having us respond to all the reviews, but then they're going to come back and they're going to go back and take a look at the negative ones and respond to those later, which you can do. And, I think the other theme that we talked about today, which is really important and should always be present anyway, is making sure that you are humanizing every single thing you're doing. No one likes to be sold to. They like to hear about things, but make it very much humanized.
I love that. I would say, I think something that, we work with a lot for enterprise brands and chain businesses is probably so simplistic, but holiday hours, I think, is something we're still constantly, training and reiterating and letting them know, I know you're in a mall and I know you're not going to get it till a week or two before the holiday, but, our teams here will do it. And you don't understand how important that is. Like removing that friction from someone thinking, you're going to be open till midnight and you changed it last minute to 11 p.m. because staff was short or whatever the case is, I think is incredibly important. And it's, going to save you in some moments when someone's in the mall and they're looking for you and you have a competitor right down there. So I think definitely that's going to be a big one if you're not already considering that. All right, awesome. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining us. For all the attendees, like I said, we're going to be sending out a recording right after the webinar. But thanks again, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, Crystal. It was great seeing everybody.
Yes. Bye
Thanks,
all.
everybody. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.